right. So here, okay. Now we're recording. So this is another episode of Anger Management Productions, Real Shit Talking, and today we have Ricky Bobby, the rookie. How are you doing up there?
Good, good. How you doing?
We're fine. We got Twill, and we got Wesley as well. How are you doing today, Mr. Morris?
Doing good.
Okay. And today we're gonna have a little talking. I'm just gonna say this is the dog day of the summer. I always say the dog day of the summer is ain't no football, no basketball. If you're into baseball, that'll be your thing, but it's going to be kind of a boring time until training camp. But NBA Finals just ended. We have a new NBA champion. Unfortunately, it is the New York Knicks. They beat the San Antonio Spurs four games to one. Celebrated on San Antonio's home court. It must have been sad. And I know Spurs fans, you guys want to let it happen. So, if you got hate in your heart, you guys can go ahead and let it out. You want to talk about it? Go ahead. It doesn't matter who wants to go first. Who wants to talk?
I'll go first.
Okay.
As far as seeing what they did on the home court there, winning the championship, I wouldn't know. I turned that shit off as soon as it went to double zeros. I put on Forged and Fired and watched somebody make a knife just to calm my nerves because I couldn't handle it no more. I've never seen a finals like that where Wimby said in the post game everybody had problems with that they dominated most of the series. They did. They dominated most of the series. They were in the lead 70% of the finals. They had double-digit lead in every single game. I looked back, I chat GPT, everything I could find, if there was ever a time where that happened. And the only time it's ever been like that is if the team won. They never lost. They only won one game in this 5 games they played, and yet they were ahead most of the time. And everybody's going to point to De'Aaron and all the nonsense at the end of Game 4 and how poorly he played in Game 5. For me, I feel like it's more Mitch. Mitch's inability to control that when it's going crazy. When you're up so much and then you don't control the clock, possessions are what would have won those games. And instead of running plays, he didn't stop them from taking shots with 18 seconds left on the shot clock when they were just jacking up threes for, and just like, it's that builds in these great leads. That's not how you're going to win the game. I think after the third game, there should have been a clue that, they barely won the third game. That's when you stop doing that. And then Game 4, if there was ever a lesson to be learned, it was Game 4. The same thing that got you the lead in an amazingly 29 points in the first half, you couldn't get the ball to go in the hoop in the second half. So you have to slow the game down. You have to slow down the possessions. Yes, you have to leave it on the people on the floor, but at the same time, had Popovich been on the sideline, and I'm not a Popovich fan, don't get me wrong, but the reality is, had he been on the sideline, he would have called a timeout. He would have benched everybody. You would have seen what's his name, Olenek out there instead of Wembanyama, and he would have gotten the message, and all of a sudden they would have slowed down and not taken a shot until there's like 6 seconds left on the clock, at least the last 5 minutes of the game. And the fact that they never did that is why they didn't win this series. That's the way I see it.
Go ahead, Ricky.
I think everything he said is correct. I think it was a full collapse, and I hate to say you're right, Sasha, but there was this dumb rookie mistakes that cost him the championship too. Not even just from the players, but like also the coaches as well. I also feel like you can always point fingers about Fox, how he played poorly this series, but it was also game management and where we needed to put Fox instead of where we had him. Like if we had Harper majority playing and him starting, I feel like it would have been maybe a difference in the series. Maybe it would have gone to 6. I still think Spurs would have won in 7, but we lost a lot of leads. We had about 30 points Game 4, and we choked and we lost it. I just think we were just too young and we just collapsed at the end of the day. We weren't supposed to be there. I mean, we were supposed to be a playing team at the most, but we made it to the finals. We played a great contender in New York, and I don't have any hate towards New York winning. Congrats to them for finally closing that drought. But yeah, it was a tough loss.
Go ahead, Titus.
I mean, shit. I pretty much agree a lot with what what's Wes. I know it says Morris, but I've heard. I think I might have met you one time when I was down
Yeah,
there.
I've met you before. Morris is fine. Wes is fine. Either one. They're both my name. My name is Wesley
Yeah,
Morris. So, but
yeah. But I pretty much agree a lot with what you said as well. But I think the one thing that I think the one thing that I'll say that sticks out to me is that it just turned out to be true, Sasha. What you and I have talked about a lot, and I think I brought it up a couple of times on this podcast too, because with the blackout restrictions here in Austin, I don't get a chance to watch the Spurs a lot on League Pass. I can only watch them if they're on ESPN or Amazon or whatever. So throughout the regular season, I don't get a chance to watch them that much. So I had to rely on Sasha a lot during the regular season to get the whole vibe of what the Spurs look like. So when I catch a couple of their games in the regular season, I was like, okay, young, athletic team, blah, blah, blah. But the question was always there in my mind with the young team. What were they going to do in the playoffs? But I started watching them more throughout the playoffs. I started seeing them. I was like, you know what? They don't really look like a young team. They don't play like a young team. And then the shit started happening. And now we're starting to find out why, which in the NBA, it holds so true. Young teams don't win championships. When your best player is 21, 22 years old, 23 years old, you're more than likely is probably not winning the championship. And then all of a sudden, they started to do the young, dumb things. Game 4 was an epitome of that. I said, watch that game 4 with that lead, 3 offensive rebounds in a row. Victor gets all 3 of them, and this motherfucker takes a 3-pointer, gets it again, takes another 3-pointer, and each 3-pointer they took was further than the one that he had before in the middle of that run. And I'm just like, guys, what are we? What are y'all like? What are y'all doing? And like I said, there was a monumental things that happened in that game 4, which I think you're right. Either if you had a veteran coach, Popovich, shit would have been different, or maybe if he was 5 years younger, this is where Chris Paul would have really came into hand. Because basketball is a game of runs. You know, New York was, even though they were down by 29, they were going to make a run. But that's what happens in the National Basketball Association. It's a matter of, can you survive those runs? When you're up 29, they might go on a run, but maybe it's a 15-2 run. But you're probably still going to be, but you're still going to be up 14, 16 points or whatever. It's just a matter of, can you survive it? They weren't able to survive it because they weren't able to stop the bleeding, and they did. Out of all the times I kept saying that they didn't look like a young team, that's when they started to look like a young team. And like I said, you see why young teams don't win titles when they say you have to go through a little bit of heartbreaks first before you're able to win a title. When Oklahoma City won their title last year, the year before, they lost that tough, close series against the Mavericks. And if you remember how that ended, when Dallas beat Oklahoma City had a bunch of errors down towards the end of that game, to where that could have went to a game 7, but because of a lot of errors that they had, they ended up losing in the second round. But they came back and they made it to the finals the next year. The Spurs, they literally just hopped into the playoffs and boom, they're in the NBA finals. So one could say Spurs fans should be happy they even made it that far, because Golden State was losing in the first or second round before they started their little mini dynasty run or what have you. I just think that that's just something that just happens with young teams, and a lot of that also has to do with, which ended up coming to light too, is I looked at Victor, and it's almost like Victor kind of had his LeBron moment against the Dallas Mavericks. They figured out a way to play him because he doesn't want to get down in the post. He doesn't want to play down in the post yet, probably because he's not strong enough to establish position against a lot of players because, yeah, he's tall, but a lot of these guys can push him off the block. He doesn't have a spot on the floor yet where you could just go to him. And that all plays into a factor too when you talk about why young teams or a young guy can't win the titles, because at that point in their career, you're 3 years in, but your offensive game is not fully refined yet. Yeah, he can score 25 points per game, but I saw it with Jordan as well, because Jordan was getting the same amount. But when Phil got there, now the 25, 30 points that he was getting, it looked different because of where he was getting them, at what points in the game he was getting them. where they was putting them out on the floor to where it was like, okay, the game is starting to get tight. We're gonna put you up here at the elbow. We're gonna get you down here at the post. With Wemby, he has a lot of offensive tools, but it's not refined yet to where when a situation like that happens, you can stop the run because you're like, okay, now we just go down to Wemby down in the post, or now we set this play up for Wemby where we know it's going to be automatic. Or if it's not automatic, they're definitely going to be double teaming because he's money at this certain spot on the floor, kick things out. So like I said, there's a lot of things. Mitch Johnson too, yeah, a lot of his coaching decisions as well. But again, he's a first-year head coach, so you have that combined with the young team, and shit just hit the fan. But I just think at the end of the day, it's just youthfulness, and I don't think Spurs fans need to be discouraged or anything. I just think that it probably was bound to happen, even though I'm not a Spurs fan. I was like, you know what? They look like they might be the first young team to actually do this shit, but it ended up happening. And I will say, yeah, but De'Aaron Fox, he does have to go. He does.
I have some pushback on it only because Sasha and me went round and round with this too.
Okay.
The whole thing about the youth and the young team is because they haven't faced adversity. And I told them that's incorrect because in the first round, their star player knocks himself out on the floor. And they have to go on the road in Portland to win almost the whole team besides two players. I think it was that are major contributors. It was their first playoff games, the first time they ever played a playoff game on the road. And Dylan Harper and Castle managed to pull that one out. The reason why I think that it's not just something you can just say it's because they were young. They should have won the finals. They had the chance because they did that. And then the second round, they're playing the Timberwolves, and Anthony Edwards just took him to task. Even though he was guarded pretty well by Castle, he just took him to task and he just showed him how it was to win and played him so hard. And the whole thing I saw too, and everybody says Wemby doesn't do this and doesn't do that. He still broke records. So did Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper scored the most points of anybody at 22 years old in the playoffs so far. At that age, or 20 years old, I beg your pardon. No one's ever done as much. 300 points. I've seen that all over the social media stuff. The closest one I think is like 280 or something like that. It was like LeBron or it was somebody else way up there. So I just feel like those are things that it's kind of helping to make it easier, like an easier pill to swallow. But to me, it's not like that. It's something that they had the chance. They were there. And like I said, it's not like they got their butts whooped. The perfect example to me is when LeBron got to the finals in his second year, I think, or third year, he got swept by the Spurs. It never looked close. Yeah, he did good. The rest of the team looked like crap.
I think it was his fourth year.
His fourth year.
It was his fourth year? Even more to the point. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like Wemby's a year ahead of schedule. If you go off one of the best players that's ever played, that's everybody, the consensus is about LeBron. And yet they made it to the finals. And not only did they have the lead in every game, they should have won at least two of those games that they lost. And they just blew it at the end. Just bonehead plays that had nothing. Because one of the bonehead plays was a rookie, and that was Wemby throwing off his back. But you shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. But then the next one in game 4, when oh my God, I lost his name. When De'Aaron Fox did what he did, Ginobili would have run around until they fouled him. Michael Conley, had he been a Spur, would have run around until they fouled him. Chris Paul, who was a Spur, had they just signed him at the end there, just have him on there for like whatever they had to do to get him into the playoffs, he would have been able to manage those games better at the end. And that's why I feel like it comes down more to Mitch Johnson than the players. Because Mitch Johnson, he's a rookie too. This is his first year as a head coach. And the Spurs are definitely ahead of schedule. They improved by 30-something games, I think it was, or just about 30 games in their win column. And they not only win their first playoff series, they win 2 more playoff series and go to the finals. But yes, I'm happy they did that, but I'm also irritated because they should have done more, especially with the Knicks. I'm almost done. Especially with the Knicks, because somebody said, I'm happy that the Knicks won or something. Fuck the Knicks. I can't stand the Knicks. The Knicks are a one-trick pony, and that trick is circus shots from Brunson. And it was those shots were amazing, don't get me wrong, and it was frustrating to watch. But my God, if they didn't have him making those crazy driving layups where he's just throwing it 15 feet in the air and it just goes right in like it's perfect. It looks like a video game the way he plays. So yeah, I don't care for them, especially the Knicks are a terrible organization. They always have been.
So I love a good debate, Sasha. So let me let me come back with the pushback
Oh, go
because
ahead.
I love this.
Ricky, you cool?
So
Go
I'm going
ahead.
to come back and say once again, I respectfully disagree. Let's go back to what you were saying because this, to your point, what was going on with Portland and Minnesota, that's when I kept telling Sasha they don't look like a young team. But see, let's take a deep dive into this. One, yes, you played Portland. Portland wasn't a veteran team. They got some veterans on that team, but that's a core. That was the first time that team had been in the playoffs. See,
Mm-hmm.
you go back and you look at them. You go back and you look at the other two teams. Let's look at the team as a guy that I was talking about, De'Aaron Fox. Wasn't Sacramento the higher seed when they played Golden State a couple of years ago?
Yeah,
They
I
lost that
believe
series,
so.
right?
yeah.
In Game 7 on their home court.
I think there were three.
Probably were theoretically they were the better team to Golden State. Steph Curry went off for 50 or whatever points in that
50.
game. Why? Because as a core, that young Golden State team didn't know how to win. We just saw the same thing happen with the Houston Rockets. Number 2 team overall in the Western Conference lost to the Golden State Warriors, who they should have beaten. And what happened? Golden State beat Houston. It's not something I'm blowing out of air. It's the truth. Young teams sometimes they don't know how to win a series. When you blow leads like that consistently, whether it's on the coach, the players or not, that's part of youthfulness of not being able to close out. That's why, yeah, you might have been able to get away with it with the Portland, which I don't think they weren't blowing leads against Portland. But my point is, you might be able to get away with that with some teams, but then you went up against the Knicks in the finals, a team who, as much as I don't like him as a coach, the one thing that still carried over from that New York Knicks team to Mike Brown was that no quit, that toughness, that diehard that Tom Thibodeau instills in all of his teams. So when they're down 20, 29 points, yeah, they're going to come back. Saw that with the Bulls when he was coaching the Bulls with Derrick Rose, when a lot of teams were more talented than the Bulls, but they slugged that shit out to where they always came back and they would win games because that was the one thing that Tom Thibodeau is good at. That's why he'll get you to a certain point, but he ain't gonna get you over the hump. But everything else about his coach style is cool, but his offensive philosophy sucks. But that's where the stuff that happened in the finals, it was definitely against the wrong team in the New York Knicks. Because not that you can't do that against not that team. Maybe if it was Cleveland, like the Cavaliers, you probably would have gotten away with that shit. Because yeah, James Harden is the biggest, choke artist that there fucking is. Donovan Mitchell has his own. Evan Mobley, he's soft as fuck. Like if it was against the Cavaliers, you get away with that shit. But against a team like that with that core, who's battle tested, that's where the stuff that compounded in that series, it wasn't going to happen. Not with them. So that's where I would say I give you a little bit of pushback on, because the two teams before that you guys played before Oklahoma City, like I said, was Portland as a core. They're just now making the playoffs. In Minnesota, I've watched them up close and personal. And as much as I'm a big fan of Anthony Edwards and I like their team a lot, they're not the highest IQ basketball team either. They play dumb too.
They were also injured. I mean, I'm not oblivious to that fact. They were injured as well, and so was Oklahoma City. That's real.
Even if Ant was healthy, I still don't know if Minnesota still comes out of that series, because, like I said, their IQ as a basketball team is not that great, and Ant still would have had problems trying to find somebody to go along with them because Julius Randle isn't worth a damn. So that's the only thing that I would say about that. But like I said, man, the Spurs are fine to do. Like I said, the only thing they need to do is figure out what they're going to do with De'Aaron Fox, because he's making close to 50, or he is making $50 million a year.
Didn't they re-sign him over the summer? They extended him, right?
Yeah,
I know, but
not this summer. It was last summer, I believe.
Yeah, last summer.
Yeah.
But you can't have him come off the bench next year. And Dylan Harper needs to start. Dylan Harper has shown that he's ready, and he needs to run that team. And you can't have a $50 million a year guy in De'Aaron Fox coming off the bench, because what are you going to do? First of all, Devin Vassell already put it out there by saying publicly that Dylan Harper was upset about his minutes at all. So now he's already put that out there,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, as a young player, he probably looked at it as, okay, I could do it for this year, be the role of the guy coming off the bench. But hell, the fact that he outperformed Fox in the playoffs, he's going to be looking to come in there next year and be like, you know what, I need to start, and I should be starting. And I think he's shown enough that he should be starting next year. So now, what do you do with Fox?
Well, real quick, I know I want Ricky to talk too, of course, but I would just say I'm really hopeful that this summer a couple of things happen, and one of them is that Manu goes up to Harper and it's just like, look, you can be a starter or you can win championships. I mean, if there's anybody that's going to be able to get in his ear, it's another left-handed player that is generation. Ginobili was one of a kind player, and he was able to come off the bench, and that's what helped them win the championships they did. So I feel like it's a good problem to have him, because you're going to have to either trade De'Aaron Fox, which who's going to take him at that salary? They gave him a pretty big salary. Who's going to take him? What are you going to get in return? You're not going to get a good dance partner there, especially because the way he performed. Doesn't matter. He's like Dak Prescott. He's great in the regular season. Then you get to the postseason, all of a sudden it's just like all of his numbers went down by each series. They went lower, and you could say it's injury. Injury doesn't make you try to do a layup at the end of the game. Injury is not, when you don't pass the ball and do lobs like you've been doing all year. That's nothing to do with injury. That's you in your head not thinking straight because the moment's too big for you. So that's why I want Ginobili to go and talk to Harper and be like, we need you, but because they're there all the time anyway. Just say, hey, man, you can be the next Ginobili. You can come off the bench and it doesn't matter what time you start. It matters if you finish. So all that matters is if Johnson puts him in the fourth quarter, then I don't think he'll really give a shit if he's the one starting. And if he does need to start, well, then, that's just a whole new generation of Spur, to be honest with you. Because if it's all about me ball, look how good I am, well, then, yeah, that's not going to work anyway, because you have somebody who's already kind of arrogant and wimpy. And then Castle with his doing the Prince dunks, you know what I mean? Looking at people when he does it. You can't have three arrogant assholes thinking they're the best player in the world, even know how good they all three are, because that's going to cause problems too. So I'm just hopeful that Ginobili just gets in his ear and tells him, hey, man, you can be a superstar and win championships, or you can say, I want more minutes. You know what I mean? Because what are they going to do with Fox? They can't just get rid of him.
Well, yeah, right. But the way that the collective bargaining agreement is set up now in the NBA, that's going to end up happening sooner than later, in anyways, because you're not going to be able to, because that's the way that they set it up to where you can't have so many max contracts. And when Wemby's going to be coming up, because the three core is going to be Wemby, Castle, and Harper.
For sure.
That's going to be the core. So it's going to, whether it's a year or 2 years down the line, when now they're coming close to where they're able to sign the max, yeah, Fox is going to have to be gone, anyway, because of the way that they have these new, the way that they have the new, what is it, that fucking apron thing or something like that, where you can't go over the apron, and if you do go over the apron, you got to pay that damn near billions of dollars of taxes or whatever, and that shit, which is why they're trying to break up Tatum and Brown, why they've been talked about so much, breaking them up because of that. So I don't know, but yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ricky. You've been silent for a while. I know you want to say something.
Back to the Harper thing. I feel like Harper has two roads he can go to. He can go to that Ginobili route, or he can go to that Harden route. And like Titus said, Harden, he's a great regular season player, but when it comes to playoffs, he's nowhere to be found. He had almost 10 turnovers this playoffs, the whole playoff run. And I just feel like I don't know what we would even really get for Fox, especially at his trade value right now, especially how he performed these whole playoff run, and also in the finals. He performed very horribly. Also, what happened to our 6th man of the year? He was averaging 13 points in the regular season, and then it drops to 6.9, I believe, or something like that. It went to single digits. And I understand you got to play your key players and everything like that, but you should, if you're a 6th man of the year, you should at least be averaging 10 points in the playoffs, at least. because you're coming off. You're the floor general, and you're coming off the bench. You're the guy leading the second group into battle. You need to be prepared to run that second group and keep getting buckets and keep scoring the right way and not taking dumb threes and running in transition and then let's take a three because we have a fucking lead. No, that doesn't make any sense. I
But
feel like Fox, he does have to go, but I don't know how he would even work that deal out because of the contract and also his trade value.
what I was going to say was, I think what Sasha and Titus are talking about, Keldon Johnson is the perfect example of that. When you're young and you don't know how to play in the playoffs yet, that's what I saw. The moment was too big for Keldon. He had 2 or 3 games in the entire playoffs where he looked like his normal self throughout the year. The rest of the time, he looked lost. He looked like uncertain. Should I shoot now? Should I pass now? And he just had 1 or 2 possessions a game that looked normal, but not a whole game. He didn't put a whole game together more than 3 games in every game that they played. So I agree with you. Where did he go? I think the moment was just too big for him. Now, I will say this. I think that next year, having 3 series under his belt, 4, I should say, then I think that he'll be more acclimated to what it's going to be expected of him next year, and hopefully he'll do better. So, what's your next question, or Sasha?
Look, this is one thing I wanted to say, and this is just what it is. When I just want to make sure that we're all understand each other. Yeah, I let it be known. I don't like the Spurs. I don't like it. Not my favorite team in the world. I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. But again, just like I don't like the Lakers and I don't like the Portland Trailblazers. I don't like I say I don't like the Spurs because I like to get underneath their skin like salt on an open wound. But when I'm talking basketball, I talk basketball. And I've said this from jump, and I stood by it, even though I was wrong 3 series in a row. I was like saying, it's sooner or later the bright lights are going to get to this young team, and it showed. We saw it when they had leads, double-digit leads, and they'd evaporated. And I think somebody said it best. The New York Knicks has shown that you can have big double-digit leads against them. They would stand it, especially against Cleveland. And like game 1, when Cleveland was up big, I think that's what they were talking about when they were down big, and then they took James, and then Jalen Brunson took James Harden to task. And then they came back and won. And they
But it's Cleveland.
Yeah, but the point
is Cleveland.
Yeah, but the point is they withstood it and they came back and won about it, and that's why I was saying San Antonio again. If San Antonio cannot hold on to those leads, New York is going to come back. And I was at my high school reunion. San Antonio went up big 11 when we left. I came back when we went out to go eat. San Antonio was up by 5 with 6 minutes left in the 4th quarter. I'm like, New York's going to win this game. San Antonio, again, because they were doing stuff that a young team always does. They did not know how to win. When I say they don't know how to win, like you said, you don't have to jack up a 3-pointer all the damn time. Dribble the ball. Learn how to just try to take the easy shot. Get an easy shot. Go down low. Draw a foul. Do something where you can be able to at least try to withstand the hold on to the lead. Instead, they were playing young. They were playing like it was 2K, like it was 2K26, and that's why I kept saying, I don't know about this. San Antonio, I'll say like this because I went to that Spurs Rockets game. When San Antonio is on, they are on. When they're knocking down threes, that team is on. When Victor Wembanyama is on, they're on. But when the game slows down and they're not on like they are, that's when I start questioning that team. Yeah, they may have won a couple of games like that, but I was sitting there watching and wondering. I remember telling that to Titus because we were watching that Denver Spurs game, and he called me. And when San Antonio was up big on, they weren't up big, but they were up. And I'm saying San Antonio's going to choke this game off. And what happened? Denver ended up coming back winning. I kept saying, San Antonio, it's just that team. They just have to learn how to slow the game down. They don't know how to do that yet.
That was
That's
brutal.
the
I
only
remember
thing
that
that,
game too.
huh?
No, I was saying I remember that game. It was on
Yeah,
a it was on a Saturday
on
when I watched it.
Saturday.
Yeah, it was a Saturday afternoon game. I remember watching that one. I
It
was
was
like,
on
I can't
Amazon. It
believe
was
they
on
fucking lost
Amazon
that game.
Prime.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I was sitting there, and you were watching it. You called me because I was out with, I was out, I was out, and then I was telling you about that game. Like, yeah, San Antonio went up big because you were like, man, I like the San Antonio team. Oh yeah, I'm like what I'm seeing right now. You were talking about you were high on Vassell, Castle. You were loving the chemistry. The San Antonio choked off that fucking game, and I was saying that, and I stood by my guns, and I don't care if I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm cool if I'm wrong.
You're normally wrong.
Oh, well, this time I was right.
This time you were right,
I was
but you're
still,
normally wrong.
and it's just, and you know, I'm gonna say this right now. It hurts my heart that it happened because that they lost because I was looking forward to taking Sheree to downtown. She was excited about going downtown. She was looking about it. Titus said that he was going to go. He was going to come down for the championship game. I don't know if I told you, Wes. I was going to wear Jabri's jersey. Oh, Shane, you want to join in too?
Sorry, I'm
Shane,
late.
Shane must have joined in on this also.
Sorry, I'm late.
Hey,
What's going on?
hey, Shane. Shane. We got Sugar Baby Shane. He wanted to join in on the conversation also. We're talking about the NBA Finals.
Okay, just about the finals or what the Spurs need to do?
Well, I mean, right now I'm just having Spurs fans. They were having a meltdown about it right now. I'm just letting them talk.
Meltdown. What the hell?
Don't let me interrupt. Continue going.
No,
I'll
only
chip
thing
in
I
when
was
needed.
saying, only thing I was saying was that's the only reason why I said it. I may have been wrong. I'll give myself if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And of course, apparently, I'm also stubborn about certain things also. But this time I was right, and I'm glad I stood by it, and I didn't concede. That's just all I wanted to say.
One other thing too that wanted to say too about that. Since we keep talking, you and I specifically keep talking about the young thing, you can't also overlook too with the Knicks what happened to them last year when they played Indiana, because
Mhm.
that pretty much was like their learning experience too, as far as this core to get over the top. Because even though I told you before the series, I felt like the Knicks had a better chance than what a lot of people were giving them. I don't look at this Knicks team as like they're some like all-time great team or even a
Mhm.
great team. I think they're a good team, you know, but sometimes the circumstances matter as to why you might win a title, as to why you might win a title. If they're playing Oklahoma City, New York's probably not winning this title, which is crazy because you're like, well, the Spurs beat the Thunder. Well, again, the Thunder probably wouldn't have been giving up these many 20, 29-point leads and shit either, like the Spurs were in every single one of these games. Because why? They're a championship team. They've been there before. But the Spurs, like I said, had they played Cleveland, oh, they're coming out of this. They probably would have come out of there with a title against Cleveland because Cleveland would have laid down.
Mhm.
So some matchups and like I said, circumstances they kind of do matter a lot of times because yeah, I don't think the Knicks beat the Thunder.
I don't know if the Knicks would have beat the Thunder, but I don't know that it's going to be what you're saying just because, because the Spurs, beat them. But the Spurs beat them because of the motivation they had. And you could see Wemby really wanted to beat Chet. He hates Chet, and that drove him. And he played in that series way better in that series than he did in the finals. And that's why I think that why he looked not like himself in the finals. He didn't have real dominant games like he did in the Western Conference Finals. And I think that's what that goes along with what the two of you are saying. I'm not disagreeing with you. That's learning how to play in the right moment and understanding the weight of what you're in right now. Doesn't matter that because he was as emotional as you would be winning the finals, beating Chet and beating the Thunder. And then when he got to the Knicks, I guess he just thought like everybody else, they were just gonna just roll right over them. And they lost game one, and then all of a sudden it's like that should have been a slap in the face. And then they had a bonehead play in game two, and they lost game two, and I think that was it. I think the doubt was now in them, no matter what they said. And I feel like that's why they weren't able to keep those leads. But what my pushback was, I don't think the Thunder would have had those leads. The Thunder didn't play that well compared to, what I think. Oh, I'm saying it a different way. The Thunder played really great against the Spurs. They took them to 7, but I don't know that they would have had those big leads against the Knicks, because I don't think that. I feel like Shea and Brunson would have canceled each other out, but I don't know that. I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, I don't have a lot of confidence in the Knicks even making it back to the finals next year. Whereas I think if the Spurs, that's what I was going to ask in a minute too, what y'all think, any fans or whatever of the Spurs, what do you think it'll take to get to the finals again next year? And I do have an answer for it. I just want to know what y'all think about that.
I definitely agree with you on the Knicks. I look at the Knicks as a one-time champion, and depending on how the rest of the Eastern Conference shakes out, depending on what happens, where Giannis goes or whatever, their ceiling may just be the Eastern Conference Finals again. Maybe might be able to get to the finals again, but I'm like you. I don't think we're looking at a repeat champion next year or anything like that. And I damn sure don't think we're looking at the start of a dynasty with the Knicks.
I don't either.
But yeah, no. And the other thing you said too, as well, though, Victor should have adopted the Kobe Bryant philosophy: job's not finished.
Yep.
Remember I told you a couple of times. Remember I told you on a couple of podcasts that when Jordan finally beat the Pistons, they had the Bulls that one game against the Lakers in Game 1, they ended up losing at home in Chicago. Then they woke up and realized, okay, this ain't just about beating the Pistons. This is the NBA Finals now that we're in. And you're right, with Wemby and maybe with the Spurs, they probably looked at the Thunder as their championship, and not realizing we still got another round. We still got another round to play. And I also think too they did. I think they might have underestimated the Knicks as well too. They probably didn't realize, like I said, that the Knicks would be willing to fight and do whatever it takes to get back into a lot of these games, because the motherfuckers were horrible in the first quarter, first half, in every single one of these games. And that's why I hate to say this, and I hate to keep picking on them. That's why, if it was Cleveland with James Harden, that team would have laid down. If James Harden would have laid down, Donovan Mitchell would have laid down, and Evan Mobley would have laid down. I've seen that story way too many times with the Cavaliers. If the Spurs would have been up 29 points on them, the Cavaliers would have laid down. The Spurs definitely would have won a title.
Yeah, because when they were up like that against Minnesota, Anthony Edwards walked over before the fourth quarter was over and dabbed everybody up. I'll never get over that. There was a,
Three years in a row in elimination games, the Timberwolves have lost by 25 points or more.
But he's never done that before. He never walked over to the other team before the game was over and was like, "Good series, guys." That's never happened.
And I've been reading. Trust me, he's already starting to question the organization. So he's be on the lookout for an Anthony Edwards watch here soon.
Oh, I have no doubt. I mean, there's that meme that's going around, but sometimes memes carry weight. Basically, it just showed everybody that played for the Timberwolves has now won a championship by leaving the Timberwolves. Cat's the most recent one. I think Anthony Edwards is going, you know what? Might be time for me to find greener pastures.
Now, real quick, Shane, are you there? Because he's blacked out. I don't know if he's there or not, because he's a Wolves fan. So I didn't know if I didn't think he wanted to say about that, but I don't know what's going on.
Well, I couldn't hear him anyway, so I felt bad. If he'd have said something, I'd have to tell me what he said, because I couldn't hear him. But I didn't want to get out and try to come back in again.
Well, I'm gonna mute it because I'm hearing something like that. When he comes back, I'll find out. But yeah, if you want to ask right now, I'm gonna have to wait till after the draft and after the free agency and everything before I can be able to say if San Antonio can come, where San Antonio stands. Because if you ask right now, do I think the Knicks will probably repeat? They're probably going to be the front runners, because right now I have to think about coming out of the East. Everybody, because as much as I was really gung ho for the Pistons, but then the Pistons, they fell apart, and then Indiana, Tyrese Halliburton, he's going to be coming back from that injury. But will the Pacers be back strong? Orlando, I'm not I'm not I'm not sold on Indiana anymore. I mean, not Orlando anymore. I'm fuck them. And I mean, like, it's just like right now. I don't know who I want to say because I'm not even going to go at Cleveland. And real quick before anything else, because it's something I want to talk to you about, Titus. And now I'm glad I got you on here, Wesley, also. So I would look at this one kid. I don't know. He said that Tim Duncan, that Evan Mobley is better than Tim Duncan.
First of all, I saw that clip, and I'm not going to entertain. I'm not even going to entertain that shit from these young Gen Z motherfuckers, man. I'm not. I'm not. That's absurd. That's absurd. Because all it is just young players. This is the problem, and this is the problem that I have with these young kids that sit there and say shit like that. They think that just because a motherfucker has more athleticism, which Evan Mobley is compared to Tim Duncan,
right,
and shit like that, that necessarily equates and means something like they can't fucking play. And I hate that. And I'm not saying this just as an old person who's 48 years old or whatever. I really do think that it would be easier for guys back in the days or older guys to come and play in this era than it would be for a lot of these guys in this era to go back and try to play in a previous era.
Oh, absolutely.
You look at some, let's break this down. And I know there was a question that Wes was asking about next year and everything, but let's just break this down real quick. You take the top, let's just take out, I'm just going to throw these three players out because they come, I'm just looking at their skill and athleticism or whatever. Luka, Jokic, and Giannis. We'll start with Giannis. In this era that we're in, and you know I like Giannis, can't shoot the three, doesn't have a low post move, doesn't have a mid-shot range, doesn't have a go-to move. And in this era, he's been a top three player for damn near the last 5, 6, 7 years. He's gotten 2 MVPs in the 10 Luka Doncic. Why? It's not hyperbole when you hear a lot of these guys say that if you put Jordan in this era, Jordan would average 40 points. Look at what Luka's doing. Yeah. And then Jordan is far superior athletically and skill and skill wise than what Luka is, and Luka's dominating this era. Same thing with Jokic. Even though Jokic would get eaten up by Shaq and Hakeem, but again, Jokic is not athletic, and he's out here busting everybody's ass every night too.
Jokic was already in the league. His name was Vlade Divac. That's who he was. That's who he reminds me of. He was Vlade Divac. The same kind of like great shots near the paint, amazing passes, things like that. It's not like he's brand new. We've seen Jokic before.
Or Arvydas Sabonis, had he not come into the league with his bad knees at the time, and he wasn't up there in age because
he was busting people's ass.
Yeah, and he was a beast, even though he came to the league like 35, 36 years old.
Yeah, he was older.
And Giannis, as much as I love him, he's just, I hate to say this, Giannis would be Bo Outlaw with just better handles and athleticism back in the 80s and the 90s. And I hate to do my boy Giannis like that, but I'm just being real. You can't shoot. You have no three-pointer. Like, that's literally what Bo Outlaw was. Except, Giannis, you have handles and you're more athletic. So, yeah, I hate when I hear these Gen Z people talk, man. It's because obviously they don't know the game. They don't know the game of basketball, man.
They don't. And I would
go ahead.
And I would say, I mean, just to me, the idea of people like Isaiah or Scotty, of course Jordan, but any of these guys from back then playing with today's rules, like when ESPN put out a post saying Wemby couldn't handle this hezzy from OG Anunoby. It wasn't a hezzy, it was a double dribble. He didn't put his foot down, but he grabbed the ball with both hands and then dribbled again. That's a double dribble. That was called all the time in the 90s and the 80s. You couldn't do shit like that.
Right.
And yet now it's like, oh wow, take 4 steps as long as it looks good. It's a Euro step. I mean, I understand there's a difference between feet, yard, and meters and shit like that, but come on, there's more than 2 steps there. So yeah, I couldn't imagine Jordan with the same rules as today. I couldn't. And people who don't understand that just blow my mind. These same players like Larry and everybody else, to me, imagine Magic Johnson in today's NBA. He would be the GOAT. He would be the best player that's ever played the game if Magic was 20 years old in today's NBA. I really mean that with all my heart. So, and I've never been a Lakers fan. I don't like the Lakers, but the reality is Magic Johnson was a special player. And for him to have the same kind of rules and the same kind of things that I see happening now, I just couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle it. Just how that Hezzy thing really pissed me off. I don't know if you could tell. Wimby couldn't handle the Hezzy. That got to me.
Because somebody like Luka, as much as he complains about the fucking fouls, dude, they ain't calling that. They're letting you play back in the 80s and 90s. You over here going off on the refs just because you got slightly touched. Talk about foul, doing all that. Because Sasha knows I can't stand Luka because he's always bitching at the referees if he gets touched slightly. And it's like, dude, in the 80s, 90s, you got to play through that shit because, first of all, the hand check is a world of difference. You can't hand check in this era. That's why Jordan would go crazy. He was going crazy when you were able to touch him, bump him, hand check him. Now you're not allowed. Now you put him in this area, you're not allowed to touch him at all with the way he can score. Now he's definitely getting to every spot he wants to in today's era if you can't put your hand on him.
Yeah. I got a question. I got a question for y'all both. I want to hear what y'all both had to say about this. When did push-offs not become a damn foul anymore? Because that happens so much.
I catch that one. 1998 when Jordan pushed Russell when he
You're picking one play. How about every fucking time Brunson goes down the floor, his arm goes like this to push off the defender every time.
Hold on, Wes. He did that as rage bait. Let me get at this motherfucker for a minute. Fuck you. That was not the push off. Sorry, Shane. I'm sorry you have to catch this shit, but I got to go off on my friend for a minute. Fuck you, Sasha. That was not a push off. I'm going to say this shit for the 1,000th time. If you ever watch that video or the clip, because they showed it all the damn time, it'll tell you everything you need to know. When Jordan crosses over Byron Leftwich. When he crosses over Byron Russell, you never see anybody sit there and say this. Byron Russell didn't even say anything. You look at the Utah bench. Nobody on the bench said he pushed off. When they continue to show the video and they're walking to the bench, nobody goes over to the referee and says Jordan pushed off. Nobody says anything. He didn't.
Why are you gonna call a push off on Michael Jordan Game 6 and with the are you gonna be that ref to call it?
No. What I'm saying is, Sasha, is that if you don't watch basketball a lot, when there's a play that happens, if a guy thinks he's gotten fouled or he thinks he was pushed off, the natural reaction is to turn to look at the ref and be like, "Ref, he pushed off." The coach would say, "Ref, Jordan put." I'm not saying you're right. Are they gonna call it? Of course, they're probably not going to call it, but what I'm saying is nobody even sits there and says he pushed off. Brian Russell, he didn't say he pushed. Nobody says anything. That tells you right then and there that it wasn't a pushed off. Jordan might have touched him on his fucking butt a little bit.
Touch him on his butt. He pushed him.
No, because his momentum was already carrying. Byron Russell's momentum was already carrying his own self that way anyway. That's why when Jordan slightly touches them, it looks like a push off, but it wasn't. So fuck you and fuck what you stand for, bitch. Tired of you.
Even Byron Leftwich knows that wasn't a push off.
Yeah.
But the answer to your question, when did the push off probably really start to happen? I probably would say during James Harden's Rockets here is when they really started letting it getting away with that, let him get away with the push off.
I never seen it so much until this year. I stopped watching basketball for a little bit, and when I came back, I just noticed that there was a lot of push offs, like stiff arms, almost in a football play. And I'm like, when the hell did that become okay? How is that not an offensive foul? So that really that surprised me.
Malone stripped by Michael.
I mean,
Stolen by
let's
MJ.
just look at this
Bulls
real
now
quick.
one.
Before,
Oh,
17 seconds.
goodness.
There you go.
Okay.
Game 7. Or for championship number 6.
Yeah.
Michael against Russell, 12 seconds. 11, 10. Jordan a drive.
That looks like a push right
Fires.
there.
He scores! He scores!
Well,
The
I mean,
Bulls
like I said
lead
before, you're wrong
87-86
frequently, so this
with
is another
5
time.
and 2/10 left. Oh,
That's not a
my
push off.
goodness.
That's you know what? I want you to do that with a side-by-side comparison
Goodness.
to like 30% of Jalen Brunson's shots in the finals.
Did you see
Those
any-
will look more egregious.
Did you see Stockton or Malone or even Brian Russell himself? Did you see him sit there and go like that, Sasha?
Man, because you know what? I don't know why they wouldn't. I would have done it.
I've seen every angle, and nobody on that bench said anything to the ref. Jerry Sloan didn't say anything to the ref. Brian Russell didn't say anything to the ref. Nobody said anything.
Yep.
Jordan gave him a hard crossover. Russell's momentum was already carrying him in that direction. And like I said, Jordan makes contact with them, but it wasn't enough to where it was like he threw Russell into another frame or anything like that. Nah, man. Nah,
Shane, are you there?
yeah, can you?
I think Shane's having connection issues
Nope.
or something.
Yeah.
Dude, I am, bro. Rick.
Yeah, we can't see you. He's gone.
Okay.
Well, but anyway, because I know Titus, you're about to go work out, right? Because
Well,
if you guys still want to hop on, I'll get on my phone.
oh well, yeah. I mean, I guess so. If we can't, we could probably just do this for a couple more minutes. Then
yeah, I mean, I really wanted to know what y'all both thought about how the Spurs fix and go back to the finals and win. I feel like it's one signing away. That's what I just want to know what y'all think.
Well, if you're asking right now, I actually think that they are pretty much they pretty much put everybody on notice to let them know that they are here. I think that it's going to be, if they're going to get somebody in there, I think they need a real veteran out there. Like just get a veteran player, not somebody who's going to be able to add to it, not try to take over the team. The team is already solid. You already got that nucleus right there. You guys already said it with Castle, Wimby, and Harper.
And Champagny too.
Huh?
And Champagny.
And you like Julian Champagny too?
I really like him a lot. I really do. I think for what his role, he's not going to take over games, but what his role is, it reminds me of like what Bruce did. Bruce would hit those open threes, and they were timely threes, and he would play pretty good defense. Champagny does. Bruce was a great defender. Champagny's a pretty good defender. So I feel like those are the four that are going to, be counted on in almost every game.
Well, then I think that if you ask me, I think that they need a veteran, a real good veteran who's going to be able to come in there and just add to it. Don't try to take over and just know your role. Somebody that's going to settle the team down, settle them down. And that's just what I think. Another thing is, I think your boy Wemby is going to have to learn really. He went to those monks to get tough. He's going to have to figure out how to get stronger, and he's going to have to get low. Use that frame of his. It's like he's scared to use that frame. He doesn't know what he has. 7'4", and I mean, I watched that game where I was watching that Rockets game. What is old boy's name? Who's the other point guard from Kentucky for the Rockets? Titus.
What was that again?
Reed Shepard. I was watching Reed Shepard.
Oh.
I was watching Reed Shepard punk Wemby in the post. Now I'm like, and I'm over at the game like, why is Wemby like sitting there letting Shepard punk him? He should be abusing him, and somebody's like, "Oh, because the way how he holds the ball and everything." Like, no, it's about the way how he holds the ball. He should be abusing him down low.
Oh.
He's got to learn how to use that frame of his. That's what I think. I
guess when I hear your answer, Wes, my opinion might change. But just off the top, I kind of don't think the Spurs really don't need to make any moves, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, I do. Like I said, yeah, you got the De'Aaron Fox thing that's hovering over the head. I kind of agree with Sasha. Maybe you might, because the only thing about when you say bringing in a veteran to calm somebody down, I definitely would have agreed with that take if Dylan Harper wouldn't have played as well as he did, because he played a lot more composed. Because it's like what Wes said earlier. Even if Fox is injured, the injury doesn't excuse you not making the right basketball play. Your ankle being injured might have something to do with the explosiveness of you getting past a guy off the dribble, maybe on your jump shots. But the things that De'Aaron Fox was doing were things that a 7, 8, 9-year veteran shouldn't have been doing. That's where I like Dylan Harper, because Dylan Harper is a fucking rookie and he played. What have I always told you, Sasha? My football analogy when it comes to quarterbacks. When we hear all this shit all the time in college, well, I might start the senior or I might start the freshman. And I always say, well, if the gap is close, you might as well go ahead and play the freshman.
Might as well play them. Yeah.
The way that De'Aaron was playing and the way that Dylan was looking when Dylan got on the floor, you were better off just going ahead and starting Dylan and making him the point guard, because he was the one who was actually playing like the 7, 8, 9-year veteran. It was disappointing to see De'Aaron Fox play the way he played, because he was the one who played like a young dude. Because like I said, there was like 3 turnovers that he had before the ill-advised not taking the ball out when he tried to pass the ball to Castle and the ball went out of bounds. It's like, dude, and the one where he jumped up in the air and tried to throw the ball and the guys weren't even looking. Like, that's just dumb mental shit. So I think with the Spurs, I'm a true believer. And maybe I'm a true believer because I love basketball so much. I watch it a lot. I just think what happened was a natural process of a young team. You go back, you get in the gym, and you all work on your shit. But like Sasha said, obviously it's got to start with Wemby, because he's your best player, because that's the guy you're going to be going to in the crunch time. And time again, Bird, Jordan, whoever, those are the guys who are going to have the ball in their hands that you're going to go to in the fourth quarter when shit gets haywire. He's got to have a move, or he's got to figure out a way to get down in the post. And like I said, like Sasha was saying, use your frame to get a bucket on a lot of these guys, because you're 7'5". It's cool that you can shoot these threes. It's cool that you can cross people over and everything. But there are going to be times in the game where that's not going to be necessary, where you're going to need to get your ass down in the post. Sorry if I'm rambling, but a good example of that, because we brought him up, Karl Anthony Towns. Everybody now is trying to shit on the Timberwolves for getting rid of him, but they don't realize that when he was in Minnesota, he had a habit of playing out there in the paint, where he wouldn't use his body or his skill set when he had a mismatch. Case in point, in that Dallas Mavericks series in the Western Conference, that was the reason why he got traded, because they looked at him and was like, dude, there's nobody on the Mavericks team that can stop you down low, and you want to be out here shooting all these damn threes and contested threes, when we had a mismatch down low against the Mavericks, where the Mavericks didn't have anybody that could stop him. That's what got his ass traded out of Minnesota. That's what Wemby's got to learn to do. Go see Akeem Olajuwon or something. Get you some.
He did
post work. Get you some moves.
He did work with Hakeem. He had to relearn the shake or whatever. I mean, he utilized it, but he didn't. He did work with him.
He didn't utilize that motherfucker like
no, he didn't.
Like he should have. But yeah. So that would be my answer. I just think, like I said, in Mitch Johnson, he has some shit that he has to clean up too as a young coach. I hate that people are getting on him a lot. I understand, but also, he was a first-year full-time head coach. He's going to make his fair share of mistakes as well when it comes to rotations and game time decision. In time decisions as well. That's part of a natural process. Because we can sit here and look at Phil Jackson all we want as the greatest coach. And so, but before, Phil Jackson was sitting on the bench too, like Mitch Johnson was with the Bulls before Phil Jackson took over as well. He was an assistant coach. So they all go through the learning pains as a first-time head coach as well. So I just think that's just that's what it is. Guys just have to go. They just have to go through this.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Shane. So it looks like
Bro.
you got everything working.
Bro, I'm sitting there like,
Still don't
so
hear
on my
him.
phone. Still can't hear me?
Wesley said he can't hear you.
Can you hear
Oh
him, Titus?
no! Can anyone hear me? Hello,
yeah, I can hear you.
hello.
I can
No,
hear
can
you.
you hear Shane?
Yeah, I
I
can hear
can
you.
I can
You
hear
can hear
Shane.
me?
Sorry, guys, I can't hear him. Go ahead.
Okay, you're not gonna want to hear this. I don't know who the fuck was talking about shit about the goddamn Timberwolves. First of all, I did not think that was gonna come up. Okay, I'm a diehard Wolves fan. I fucking love these motherfuckers. They're bums. I don't give a shit. All I heard was Timberwolves, and then it went away. I can only assume y'all were talking shit. So if y'all weren't, please let me know now. If not, I'm gonna go on a rant. You can stop me right now.
All right. Well, hold up, real quick. Do me a favor. Come out and come
Oh no,
back.
I got him. I heard him.
Oh,
I
you
heard
got
him
me
say,
here?
yeah. As soon as I hit the
Okay.
button, then all of a sudden it started working.
Okay, now go ahead. Go on your rant, Shane.
Okay, I don't know if you were talking shit about the Timberwolves, but let me lay this shit down for you. Anthony Edwards, yes, that's the face of the NBA right there. I don't give a shit about Wemby. I don't give a shit about Brunson. None of them motherfuckers. This motherfucker Anthony Edwards, the most loyal motherfucker on planet Earth. He ain't leaving for shit. He ain't going nowhere, bro. Sure, he gonna get pissed off. He's gonna bitch to the media. That's fine, bro. That's totally fine. It's because of bitch ass Julius Randle. I don't know why we traded Cat. We should have never, ever done that shit, bro. Ever, bro. I don't know why we sent him to New York, because now I gotta watch Sam Darnold hoist the fucking Lombardi, and now I gotta watch Cat hoist the fucking Larry O'Brien. So fuck me, bro. Whenever I date girls, I always tell them, you know what, baby? I'm never gonna cheat on you. You know why? I'm a loyal motherfucker. I'm a Minnesota sports fan. I don't be cheating on shit. I'm so loyal to these motherfuckers, bro. So Anthony Edwards, he's good. I understand you got a bitch because it's been the past 2 years conference finals this past year and the semis, and I get it. You lose to a team like the Spurs in 6, which was obviously very frustrating. You think you have the roster to carry you to a championship, but we don't, bro. Alex Rodriguez, wake up, bro. Get back on the PEDs. I don't know what it's going to take, but do something, bro, because it's that roster is not it. Julius Randle needs to be out. We lost DiVincenzo. We didn't shoot well in the playoffs. We put a lot of dress on Anthony Edwards. We don't really have that creator, because what the hell is 38-year-old Mike Conley doing? What is Kyle Anderson doing? These are NPCs, bro. And the thing that I like about the Knicks the most is they had these role players that were perfect for what they needed. You see Landry Shamet, who's kind of this unsung hero, and I'm not going to call OG Anunoby a role player because that's kind of a casual opinion, but you've got these guys deep on their bench. Deuce McBride, I know he didn't shoot well in the finals, but great option in the regular season. Obviously, he carried them. And that was great for them. Now, here's what I've got about the Spurs real quick. What the Spurs need to do, as a person who watched most of these games throughout the postseason, being in San Antonio, I'm not a fan of this team, but I'm not going to lie. After they beat the Wolves, I ain't got no hat in the race, so I was dick riding a little bit. Man, Wemby was tired. And they really need a big who can actually do some enforcing. I wish they could, like, this would never happen, bro. But if they could get like Isaiah Stewart, that would be awesome. Because Cornette was so good in the regular season, but in the finals, you couldn't tell me there wasn't a more flat-footed person out there. That he couldn't guard on the perimeter. He was late on defensive rotations. Made a couple of plays here and there, but man, they only got minutes of Wemby on the bench. And I'm like, the Knicks did a great job forcing the issue, keeping Wemby on the floor and keeping him, quite frankly, exhausted. Obviously you battle with an OKC team that's very physical. You battle with a Minnesota team that's very physical. Portland, who cares about that? But you had to deal with their resurgence and Denny Avdija and the second half of the year he had. And obviously Tago Splitter did a good enough job to get hired in Chicago. We'll see how that goes. In any case, the Knicks, you think about who they really had to go through. They had to go through one CJ McCollum hot streak, and boohoo, that got you one game. That's great. You had to go through Embiid, which was he healthy for that entire series? They didn't shoot the ball particularly well. And then you got to go and play Cleveland. And I caught a little bit of what I was saying in the car, which you guys were saying about James Harden. It's absolutely facts. that guy, he rolls over and dies in the playoff pretty consistently. And I'm from Houston, so it's tough to watch. I'm not a Rockets fan. Obviously, my dad's from Minnesota, so that's why I am suicidal about 24/7 as a Minnesota sports fan. But I had to grow up watching James Harden, so it's tough to see him go out like that. I've always liked James Harden. Um, I don't think it was necessarily a coaching issue. I just think these guys were exhausted, man. You got to battle OKC, who won the last championship. You got to battle Minnesota. That's never easy. So I think the Spurs need an actual power forward. Do not tell me about Julian Champagnie. I want someone who can back someone down and can kind of enforce and can kind of be that kind of veteran spark plug in the front court, because you want to talk about Fox, that's fine. You want to say he's like a terrorist, whatever. I think obviously he's playing hurt. That's not the De'Aaron Fox we know. But the Spurs, this is the offseason where they're really going to have to make some decisions, because next year that deal kicks in. So what do you do with Fox? Right now, I really don't think there's a world you can move him, because I don't think there's a team that wants him. If there's a Spurs fan in here that thinks differently, please correct me. I only had 10 minutes to get my shit off because I'm at the girl's house and I got to lock in. But I wanted to get in and I wanted to talk my shit a little bit. But I really think it's a front court issue. Wemby will lock in. He will go monk mode this summer. You get another summer of Carter Bryant. He was very good. And then obviously Dylan Harper. Fantastic. Shot the ball well. Very much a spark plug off that bench. Got them hype. So I really enjoyed, obviously, what I saw from him.
Shane,
Did not look like a rookie.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay,
I'm
good.
shit.
Okay.
Can y'all hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Can y'all hear me?
So what I was going to say as far as what I think, and this is my whole thing, and I know y'all aren't going to probably agree, and that's okay. I feel like if they sign Kristaps Porzingis to a 3-year, $66 million deal, they'll win the finals, because that just rotates Wemby to the power forward position and lets Porzingis be the center of the starting lineup. And you still have Cornette, because he's still under contract, coming in to spell Wemby. But Porzingis will be a rim protector and down in the paint kind of thing, like what Titus was talking about, where he can take the brunt of that, force the stuff that Wemby really isn't designed for. His frame isn't really set up for it. Can he put on 30 pounds this summer and look like Shaq? Maybe, if Shaq's on Ozempic. But at the same time, it's what can he do to change his whole style of play? Why would he do that? He's successful at what he does. He's breaking records at what he does. Let somebody else be in the paint. Let somebody else do that. Let him be the rim protector, the rover that he likes to be. He covers more ground than any player in history as far as getting those blocks. I mean, he had 12 blocks in this playoffs. I think he had another where he had like 7 or 8 blocks in a game. He's up there with Shaq-like numbers already, and he doesn't have to be the dominant down in the paint center. He needs to be what he is. And that's why I think if he's available, he's unrestricted free agent. It's all about injuries with him. I think if he can stay healthy, I feel like that's a very Spurs style of signing. It doesn't seem like it's a big splash. It's not getting Jaylen Brown or something like that, or getting Giannis in some sort of weird trade where De'Aaron Fox goes away. That can happen, but that's never been the Spurs MO. They don't do that. But what they can do is sign somebody who can go under the radar like a Porzingis, and all of a sudden now they really are a problem. What do you do? How do you manufacture shots in the paint when they're both down there? It's another version of the Twin Towers, like with Tim and David.
Well,
I like
Can y'all
it.
hear me?
yeah, we can hear
Can
you.
y'all hear me?
I
Can
can
y'all
hear
hear
you.
me? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I like the Porzingis, but I just want a guy who's got an elite motor and who can get rebounds. And Dean Wade for the Cleveland Cavaliers is perfect for that, because when you look at power forward free agents, other than Porzingis, it's really slim pickings. I mean, do you want the carcass of Tobias Harris? Do you want Maxi Kleber? Do you want, Dean Wade is the guy that I can see. I don't know about free agent centers. I was just looking at power forwards, but I don't like Kelvin Johnson as that. But I like the Porzingis. I'm just, obviously, right, the injury concerns is what scares me. You're probably more familiar with his injury history than I am, but I know it's been a rough couple of years for him. But I know that. So was he on that team that won with the Celtics in 20?
Porzingis, yeah, Porzingis there.
Was he on that team?
Yeah, he was on that team.
Great. So he's got finals experience. There you go. That's nice.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's go ahead. We're gonna continue this. What? You got something?
Hold on, Sasha. Yes, I have a crazy ass addition for you guys.
He's running and thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. This is so crazy. Let me stop running for a minute. Hear me out, my friend.
He's good. He's giving us 2 thumbs up. I think he's good, isn't it? Nothing to say.
Yeah.
Hear me out on this one. This should be something maybe the Spurs might want to look into. Think about this.
Oh shit! Well, my phone just went to low power mode, so it's probably going to end for me anyway. I didn't realize it was almost dead.
The new backcourt should be Harper and Stephon Castle, right? Cool.
Yeah.
Wemby can still play the center spot. The problem with the Spurs have as of right now, they need somebody they can go to that can get a bucket and can get to the spot. Try to find the three-way trade because the money's going to match up. That's the key thing in when you're trading away a max contract. Because this team won't necessarily need the Aaron Fox, but maybe he could facilitate this through a three-way trade. Bring Kawhi back to San Antonio for 1 year.
Hell no. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Never. Never. No. I would tell Harper not to even give up his number for him. I don't give a shit. I'd rather them miss the playoffs than have Kawhi back.
No, wow.
Wow. Dead serious. Fuck that guy.
Hey, weren't you at the game with Uncle Dennis when they were taunting Uncle Dennis?
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, my cousin is actually the one who was talking shit to his family and got in trouble over that. Yeah, sincerely. Back then my family had some pretty good seats, so we were right down there in row 10. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, But what happened? You said who got in trouble?
I don't know. Brian was talking to I shouldn't have said his name. Somebody I know was talking to Kawhi Leonard's family and talking shit because of everything that was going on. And I think it was when he had already left. I think he was with Toronto at that time. Yeah, it was with Toronto. And I think so. And that's when he was talking mess to them, and he actually got in trouble. So that the what do you call it? Security was like, you need to leave for tonight or whatever. They didn't kick him out. He's not banned, but he had to leave that night. This unknown person, I won't say his name again. Just void it, delete it. Yeah.
I'll edit it out.
Okay. But anyway, yeah.
That was my 10 minutes. I have other obligations to fulfill this evening, unfortunately, gentlemen. So
okay.
I'm gonna let y'all rip it up. But
okay, Shane, thanks for jumping on and giving me your opinion, guys. I'm about to sign off too. Where the timer is running down. So Titus, go ahead and sign off. I'm leaving right now, but I want to thank everybody for another episode of Anger Management's Real Shit Talking. We'll probably come back in a couple of weeks because I'm going to be on vacation next week.
Nice.
Unfortunately, looks like I have to go now. So, but I want to thank you all again, and hopefully we'll have some stuff to talk about, especially since it's going to be the dog days of summer.
Sounds good. We can always talk UFC. I can always talk UFC whenever you want.
I'm all for whatever subject we can talk about. That was Twill. We had the rookie, Ricky Bobby, who signed off and said his phone died. Shane, thank you for jumping on. Titus, who's at his workout. And then can't forget about Mr. Wesley Morris. I'm Sasha D. Robinson. Thank you all again. I'll have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.